Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Starfield Raw. This is episode number 61. I am Joe the Widget, and I am joined by my fellow co-host, your favorite space trucker himself, Kilo.
Hello. Good evening. Good week. Good Friday. Whatever time you're listening to this.
And goodbye. Great show.
And goodbye. No, I can't. Yeah. All right. Cut it. Send it. We're good to go.
The quickest episode ever, 20 seconds. Archon couldn't make it tonight. He had some things come up, personal things, so he had to duck out this episode, and unfortunately, the same thing happened with Rook. He was not able to get in his log. You got me and Kilo tonight. However,
that's all they need. That's all they need.
That's all you need. You just need Kilo. I'll sit here and listen to him ramble on. Then it's a good show.
There you go.
We're doing this last-minute live recording because Archon told us last minute he couldn't make it tonight in our public channel. And we do have the Hatfield in here right now listening in, so if you hear a voice pop up periodically, that would be him, most likely. It is open to anyone in our Discord to come in and join us. So if you guys ever want to do stuff like that, we might do this more often, maybe not, we never know. Join our Discord. It's as simple as that. Discord.gg/Raw Podcast.
There it is.
And my voice is really scratchy and deep right now. I ate a Vietnamese fruit yesterday, and they forgot to tell me that the seed is covered in this like rather dangerous shell in the middle of the fruit. I bit into it and got part of that seed covering, and when I swallowed it, it scratched the inside of my esophagus pretty bad. I couldn't talk last night.
That sounds exactly like what a fruit from Vietnam would actually be like. I believe every word of that, actually. But you have a nice, dulcet, sexy radio voice going on. So,
So you tell me I should scratch my throat every time?
Yeah.
Even though my voice is breaking up periodically? Oh, it's so much fun. So we're going to get into our plays. We're going to talk about the free ships you can get from quests tonight. We've mentioned it or kind of talked about it off air, but never actually did it. So we're doing that tonight. We got a couple of quests to talk about from your side quests of the weeks. We haven't done that in a while. And of course, your weekly mods. Everyone's favorite from the mod master himself.
Yes, sir.
But you know what? We got our play. We got some play in. I know I did. And I know you did.
I got some play in.
So let's hear it, man.
Indeed. All right. I got to dive a little bit deeper into Shattered Space. First thing I actually did was the mission for House Kadik, and which I thought, what really is interesting, because you guys mentioned this before too, the gray morality in the DLC that you really come across.
Oh yeah, and it's
and
frequent.
You really do. Yeah, you really do think that you're gonna go a certain way at the start of the quest, and it really kind of throws you for the loop. Because I was, as I said last episode, I was like, I'm going full Varun, right? I'm going 100% Hail the Great Serpent. I'm in. So, and then I started doing this quest where I don't know how much are we okay to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
Can we get into this a little bit?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
We're good.
Yeah. Well, you go and talk to the elder, and obviously shady right off the bat. And basically they're looking for a scientist to help with dealing with this force field, keeping, everybody out, keeping you from finding the Varun, the leader of Varun, and everything like that.
Citadel.
Right? Yeah. So you have to find a scientist to help. She sends you up to this guy who's a complete D-bag, but if you sweet talk him, if you're willing to sweet talk him and kind of stroke his ego a little bit, it makes it a lot easier to convince him to give you the information you need.
His ego. Don't get that wrong, people.
Just his ego. That's not a euphemism. It's not a double entendre. It's just his up here. The id, the ego, everything. Okay. So I went through that check the first time. I was like really kind of laying it on thick, and actually I had to get up and take care of my dogs. And because I'm on cloud gaming, if you're idle too long, it boots you right off. So I ended up having to go back and redo that part. And of course, at that point, I didn't have the patience for it. So I had to. I think I had to get like 7 successes in order to convince him. When the first time I was 4, in order to convince him to actually, give me the information.
I do have a little hint for you.
What's that?
It's not a spoiler, but just pay very close attention to the houses and what they're about and what they do. It'll come in handy later.
Okay. Noted. Yeah, I've kind of I don't know everything, but I know a little bit as far as like what's kind of ahead of me and the choices that I may have ahead of me. And I'm kind of already starting to form my opinions based on what I've experienced. But I have not finished all the houses yet. I still have to finish the last one, the house divided one.
Oh, yeah. The healing
one. The house, I can't remember the weird name for it. But so I had a lot of fun though in that mission going, and I was gonna try to sneak in. I promise. I mean, I really did mean to go sneak in, but it just, once the first shot's fired, the whole plan goes to hell. So, but I got through it and I got down and I got, I think her name is Sahima, is the woman you have to rescue. And yeah, let's talk about the Redeemed for a minute.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yes.
that was my first time encountering the Redeemed.
I hate them.
Oh man, they're the worst.
They are. They're a sniper. They're anti-sniper.
They are. Because I don't know exactly how far away. I had to be like 100 yards or so away from the first one that I shot because I was at I think it was like the entrance of the cave and there's a little staircase that goes down. I saw him behind a rock and I'm like, all right, cool. Bring the rifle up, pop, pop, pop. And it only took it down like a third of the first set of health points that he had.
They always come like that every time.
Oh, dude. It was kind of brutal. I was worried for a second there. And it's been a while since I've been worried in this game. So I got through that. I rescued all the hostages. I got everybody out, much to the chagrin of what's her face. So that was my first. I wasn't willing to sacrifice innocent people for the agenda of the house. I couldn't do it. I wasn't just going to go in there and just slaughter everybody.
Yeah, I was the same way, but I was thinking about that. It's gonna be kind of fun when I come back to my evil playthrough.
Yeah, I was
and
thinking
then do that. Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing with House. Yeah, probably. I was thinking the same thing with the House Vithal mission that you have to do, getting Veyric. That was another one that really, man, that one was tough because I went in there and it was actually Andreja checked me. All right, my beautiful wife, she checked me because I went in there after hearing the elder of the house talk about what his son did and what it means to the Varun and the Great Serpent and all must serve and blah 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 and no call, no show, no head. I was like, all right, well, I'm going full Varun, so I'm gonna have to do it like that. And then you go through the whole thing with what's his name, Tane, the Offworlder.
I can never remember names. You're asking the wrong
The
person,
outsider.
man.
I think Tane's the guy's name. He's kind of like basically like you are where you end up finding him eventually. You have to go on this little scavenger hunt for him, which is actually pretty cool. You get to come across some really cool characters, but you get to the end and I think it was Tane. He was like, "Wow, you can't like." Basically, I'm paraphrasing. He's like, "You really drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Oh wait." And then all of a sudden, right after that, Andreja speaks up and he's like, "Yeah, that's kind of how the houses operate. They use the Great Serpent to manipulate people for their own needs." And I'm like, "Oh." Much. And that is how I let Veyric go back to his father. And honestly, I'm super happy with that ending. It was a little bit adorable. So I'm okay with it. But I mean, I really went in there gunning. I'm like, I'm just going to pop this guy and just be done with it. And of course, my wife had to be the voice of reason. So
I didn't think about that. I was like, there's got to be a way to save this guy. I'm doing my complete good playthroughs. There's got to be a way. Yeah, of course there is.
Right. That's fair. Of course there is. There's always multiple ways.
But there's two different ways you can save him.
Well, there's the one. What's the other one? The other one is getting a signet ring, right?
Yep. And then telling his dad that he's dead. The other one's actually convincing him to go back to his dad.
Yeah, that's the one I did. And I like the I like the voice choices when you get back to him. He's like, "How'd it go?" I'm like, in the last choice, I didn't get it this time because I'm trying to play a better guy this time. But my knee jerk reaction was to say, "I hope you like family reunions."
I would have done that.
But let's see. I wasn't on Varun Kai the entire time. Because I went to after I finished House Kadik, I'm like, oh wait, there's that armory, and I didn't have access to it at first. Like, okay, you don't have access. I'm like, all right. So I did another mission. I did House Kadik, and I'm like, okay. I go back there, and she's like, you still don't have permission from the council to be here. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, all right, I have all this stuff I need to unload. I had a bunch of gear and just loot, basically. So I ended up going all the way back to the key to sell a bunch of stuff off. I got there, and I'm looking through. I was talking to Jazz, and I was looking through my ship inventory, and I'm looking at all these ships. I'm like, man, I'm like really, because we were talking about this last episode too. Me and Archon were like, where are the Varun ship parts? Where are they? I'm like, I was so disappointed. I'm like, I'm going to see if I can make a Varun ship, and I did. I posted it in Discord. It's called the Phantom Serpent. It is a nice, big, beastly,
Oh yeah,
spiky, Varoonish looking ship. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
yeah, that's
I
pretty
think it
cool.
cost me like, thanks, man. I think it cost me like 1.8 mil total. Everything
1.6
1.6.
according to your image.
Thank you. 1.6. Yes. So yeah,
That's a hefty sum.
yes. Well, I mean, it's loaded. I got the
I can
brig.
see
I got
that.
the captain. Yeah, I got the captain's quarters from Matilijas. I got all sorts of stuff. I had multiple structural parks on there because I got the ship merge mod. So that's how I made the wings and stuff like that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course. Hello. So that was a lot of fun. I'm pretty happy with it. That's my daily driver right now. So, so I went back to Varun Kai. I did start making arrangements for the duel
Okay.
because I ran into them earlier and I left,
Yes.
and when I came back, yeah, I met up with the sister, and the sister she ended up taking me up to the house to start the preparations or whatever, and I'm supposed to go back, and I haven't finished it yet. I guess I'm supposed to go talk to the brothers, and she's supposed to be preparing the weapons and stuff like that. It's kind of a neat little piece of Varun lore that I kind of like there. They really kind of put some thought into it. It's not just like, here, you know, sword fight to the death or something like that. It's like there's a whole process
Oh yeah,
protocol
there
for it that they're
is.
following,
It's all
which I think is really,
the legalities. I'm using air quotes here, but
yeah, yeah. I just thought it was really cool.
traditions.
So I did not write this down. The guy's name who's trying to break through the barrier, the one that sent you to
Oh yeah, I
help
have
the
no
three
idea.
houses. I cannot remember his name. But I went there and talked to him, and he was talking about the different stuff I had to do. And I believe it's his sister that's standing there with him on that platform as we're
Yeah,
talking.
the priest lady.
Yeah, the dragon lady, whatever. I called her dragon.
That's a
But
fair assessment.
yeah. So she sends me to the cave to find the lost Faroon leader, the one we talked to at the very beginning.
Yeah,
That was pretty wild. That was really wild. Going down into that cave, and I didn't even know what I was
that was
looking for.
annoying too.
It was a little bit annoying for me at the end because I was following the path. Of course, it has like no clear path seen anytime you pull up your scanner, so that's pointless. You
Yeah,
just have to keep kind of wandering around, going deeper, and you keep running across the horrors, the little guys, little tiny horrors. And I got to what I figured out eventually was the end, but it's just this rock platform, whatever. And I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't see, like, I can see the energy signatures, kind of the way it's all wonky and stuff.
yeah.
And it was like I ended up falling off the platform. I
Good job.
jumped back up. It's only when I jumped back up and I saw the quest marker kind of in the middle of the air there. And then all of a sudden, everything triggered like it was supposed to. And I thought I wish there was a little bit more to that conversation, but I
Yeah,
also feel like that was kind of a cool
yeah,
conversation.
it was quick and to the point, but you got a good
Yeah.
sense of like what he is going through
Right.
and what
Yeah.
being a phantom is basically. Did
Yeah.
you do all the bonus stuff on the way out?
Every single cave in I did.
Yeah, that was getting on my nerves. I had tons of things following me. I'm on extreme difficulty, trying not to get my butt
Right.
whooped. You know, those little bugs can one shot me, so I was just booking it, turning
Yeah, not to
around,
mention
firing everywhere.
not to mention the big ones. I mean, I'm playing on normal and I got cornered by 4 or 5 of those things and I just couldn't pull the trigger fast enough.
Dude, I
It
had
was
an
kind of brutal for a minute there.
experience in my playthrough recently that was
Yeah.
it was tough. I'll get into that later.
um, I did install a couple more mods. One of them I am going to mention later in the mod segment, but I was just so happy with the way it turned out. There's this mod called Ship Graffiti, and the whole
Oh yeah, I
description
saw
is
that.
like, yeah, the whole description is like, oh, you left your ship parked in neon too long and it got tagged. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll see how this works. I fire it up, open up the game. I'm looking at my ship. So now I have this Varoon ship with all this like neon city graffiti all over it. It looks amazing.
So we
I'm
hit the
actually really
aesthetic.
happy with it.
You have to do some
Yep.
pictures of the interior.
That would be great. Oh, they broke into your ship and tagged everything. That'd be great. But so the other piece, the other thing that I got was I didn't like. I'm gonna have to uninstall it. It's called Varun Headpiece Mod,
Mm.
and the whole thing about this mod is that it's I did it, the description was horrible. I don't know if it's a language barrier or what it was, but I couldn't. It just said headpiece, like headpieces from Shattered Space. I'm like, okay, well that doesn't really. I figured it was haircuts, maybe. I don't know, but I do know that it's taken up a lot of. It's colliding with my. It's colliding with the Better Hair and Beards mod that I already had, that where I got like my Viking stuff from. So I'm gonna have to uninstall it because the haircuts on Varun Kai are god awful. So I'm not really interested in that. And I don't know if maybe somebody here. We got a couple of our listeners in the
Yeah, I was
chat
gonna
here.
bring
We
that
got
up when we got a little break there.
couple, yeah, a
Uh,
couple crowd favorites actually.
so those who joined us, if you guys want to jump in and just join the conversation anytime, by all means, go ahead. We're just
Yes,
letting
absolutely.
we're gonna let it free roll tonight.
That's
So
that's why we're
otherwise,
recording here tonight.
stay muted and listen. Either way, it's your choice.
But I don't know if with Shattered Space, what I'm not sure about is if Shattered Space added the Varun tattoos or if it's a mod that I've installed, because
They
I
did
did
add a
find a bunch of Varun.
tattoos.
Okay, they did. Excellent. Because
Pretty
I
sure.
found some, and according to Widget, I defaced Andresia.
Yeah, you did.
Dude, it looks so good on her. It looks so
How
good on her.
dare you ruin
It
her
looks great.
succulent, perfect neck?
If you guys want to judge for yourselves, you can check out the Discord. I put pictures up in the in-game photos. But I'm happy with it. I like a girl tattoos. So let's see here. Oh yeah, I got tattoos too. That's in there too. So I did Kadik and I did Vethal, which we were talking about earlier, and I started House Divided. I've not finished it yet. I do think it's kind of funny when you're walking up to kind of like as you're getting into that quest, the one lady is standing outside, is like, "Hey, I need some packages delivered.
Yeah.
You can keep all the money. Like here, you need to deliver these packages." I'm
I did
like,
that quest too. I was like, what the heck?
all
Let's see
right.
what happens. That's one of those ones that was just one of those little mini side
Did
quests,
that
but
lead you to the pilgrimage? Did that lead you to the pilgrimage though? Because one of the places she sends
it
you
did
is
not.
north.
I actually found that prior because I was curious about that
Oh, okay.
shrine in the northern part of the city, and I wanted to check it out. That's where I got it. I did the packages
Yeah.
later when I started House Divided, like you.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Yeah, I
Have you
was I
gotten
was wondering if
into
that.
the huge open space fights yet?
No, not yet.
That's my favorite part.
Oh, okay.
Sniper Haven.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So I completed Vethal, and I went back to the armory because I read online that if you do two houses, it'll open the armory, and I did, and I was so excited to finally get into the
Yeah, well,
armory, and
I know
I
where this is going.
pull up,
You don't have to say
I
it. I know.
pull up, you know what I'm talking about. I pull up the inventory, and it's like AA 99, Lawgiver.
Yep.
I'm like, what?
I was like, come on, at least
What
give
is
me
happening right now?
some blue named Varun weapons in a Varun armory.
It's something, man. There's two. I had two Varun. There was two Varun weapons that were in
I
there.
had
Two.
one.
I'm like,
I had one, and
I
it was
was.
unmodified white.
It was so frustrated. I'm like, are you serious right now? This. Oh man.
Okay, I know how they do
I
that
was
kind of stuff.
upset.
I know how the algorithm works when you're doing shops and games like that. Each shop you set parameters and how many, like different percentages of certain guns can or items can spawn into the vendor. But they should have isolated that from that completely and made it only Varun.
Yeah. Why is that not only Varun gear? It should be only Varun. At least, okay, you could have like some other gear, but it should be mostly
Yeah.
Varun stuff.
You can have them say like, well, we procure some of these during the war, you know, the
I
ones that
know.
are non-Varun.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that was pretty much my week.
That's crazy. So I was just thinking, maybe next week I can do a deep dive on the three main houses of
Okay.
of Shadow Space. Get into that and
Yeah,
what they're
that'd be
about.
great.
'Cause I did it, and there was actually four houses, but one of them was no longer officially recognized officially.
Right.
But now that I completed the Shadow Space main story, I got a much better sense of Arun and what they're all about. I'm not gonna spoil that, but needless to say that it was very, very, very interesting. Some of the things
Yeah.
that you learn, and I was right. I found out during doing the different houses the main plot behind it, and I was right. My whole play this time was completely in the Citadel. So after you unlock that barrier, you go into the Citadel.
Okay. Right.
And that was a lengthy quest chain for me because I'm on extreme. And there's phantoms everywhere. So I cannot snipe. I cannot stealth. They see right through stealth. So I had to go close quarters. I actually I put 1 point into heavy weapons and pulled out my legendary Magstorm. And I had 9,000 rounds on me. It's like, okay, this is it. We're done. I went in guns blazing. And I got that to
Nice.
almost to rank 4 in that one quest, from 1 to 4.
Oh, wow.
And I did run out of rounds. I had 12 rounds at the end of this thing.
Oh, wow.
And I had to switch over to my
Holy cow.
Vindicator. It was, it was intense.
That's
And
wild.
I had to save every room. I had to save because I kept dying and I get jumped backwards. So I just kept saving as I went through it. And when you're doing the Citadel, you have to go through and check out everything. There is so much story hidden in all the side rooms. Like, I found Slate's audio recordings of basically how House Varun got started with Jin and Varun.
Oh, yeah.
It's his original audio about when he got his first vision from the Great Serpent.
Yeah, that's great.
And how it goes into that. So those are worth checking out. But that's in an office near the end of it, at the top of the Citadel. But another cool thing is there's a museum inside of it, about halfway up. And it's all about the war. And then what do they call that war? Maybe you guys can help me out.
It was like a crusade or something.
Yeah, it was like a crusade.
I think it was the Serpent Crusade or something.
Yeah, I think that is it. Something like that.
Yeah.
But it goes into, from there, the Varun perspective of that war. And if you look at that museum without knowing the story, you would think that they like single-handedly destroyed and won that war. How they portray everything. It's hilarious.
Right.
Like, one of the things, there's a mech that's in this on display, and you go to the slate, and it reads out and calls them false idols.
The mechs.
Yeah, that were no match for the promised. No.
Wow.
The rest of the lore says that they got their butts handed to them by these mechs.
Oh, jeez.
In the ships, they were calling about how they were swarming us and they were evil and they kept coming and coming. And the museum was one of my favorite things to do. It was hilarious. And being an engineer myself, I was going through looking at some of these the engineering concepts that they did in this. Like, I know how they come up with these designs, and I know that they use actual schematics sometimes to come up with these unique designs to make them somewhat believable.
Right.
But as an engineer, I was sitting at looking at some of these machines in the Citadel, going, "There's no way that would even be remotely be possible."
Right.
So I think they need to consult with an actual engineer before they make those.
Well, I thought about the same thing. I believe it was back when we were talking about, like, earlier on, before Shattered Space even dropped, we were talking a lot about mechs. Like, we want mechs, this, that, and the other. I ended up falling down a rabbit hole on YouTube. There was some videos. I wish I could remember it to cite it, but it was a video of, like, these military engineers talking about why mechs would never actually work on a battlefield.
Well, I've actually read counter arguments.
Have you? Because I haven't heard counter. Because I was big into BattleTech back in the 90s. Like, that was my thing. And talking about how they're talking about how, like, having the big footprints wouldn't make it easier to traverse rough terrain. That any joints and legs would be a weakness to the machine because you could disable it easily. Or
With the right armoring? No, there's actually been several military projects of actually trying to do that very same thing.
Really? Okay. Well,
the technology just wasn't there yet.
Got you. We should maybe there should be a raw and nerdy episode in there somewhere.
I was thinking that exact same thing right when you said that. So you haven't checked out our other show, Raw and Nerdy. It's about all things nerdy. Science, movie, TV, gaming, board gaming, you name it. We talk about it on that show. Raw and Nerdy. Check it out.
There you go.
Still trying to get Kilo to come on that show one of these days.
Again, I've been in there before.
Again. Yes, again.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I forgot about that. When you were not officially part of the team.
Right. Well, we'll see. Figure it out.
Yeah, I had it right in my notes. My second note, Serpent's Crusade.
I just said, if you're lucky, Widget.
Don't ever say that because that's never going to happen.
No, don't say no.
That doesn't exist. If I had better luck, it would be no luck.
You roll a 20, you'll get it.
What is that?
What's
Does that
20?
exist?
Doesn't know what a natural 20 is.
The only time I've ever gotten a natural 20 is when I had to roll a 1. And I'm not kidding. Yeah, okay, so the Serpent's Crusade, and I put in my notes, that is all because there's actual too much spoilers when I get into that. Because that name is not only the name that they had before, but it has meaning currently. Serpent's Crusade. That's why I put it in my notes. I was debating about spoiling it, and I was like, no, not yet. We're not there. We're not at that point yet. But there is this massive battle that occurs in the Citadel, where Zealots decide to join in the fight with Phantoms.
Oh, wow.
And there's this, like, big amphitheater that you go into, and there's this giant battle of at least 30 on either side, 20 or 30 on either side going at each other. And, of course, when you come in, they decide, oh, look, another target, and they come after you. So I was running around and gunning for 20, 30 minutes, taking these guys out, hitting every cover I could from behind seats, from around pillars. It was like an actual action movie sequence. It was crazy. I only died 3 times during that one. I only had to redo it a couple times. But I got, like, rank 3 just by going into there on my heavy weapons. And that's when I started really mowing things down. And I looked at my legendaries I have on my list that I use, because almost every weapon I have on my list other than my hard target is legendary. Half of them have bashing on them. I didn't realize that until now, including my Magstorm. And I didn't even remember what the bashing button was. I'm a sniper. And it's V on keyboard, by the way.
Okay, my theory at this point, my new theory, I just came up with it.
Okay, let's hear it.
Lady Luck herself was personified in human form in one of your past lives, and you effed her over big time. Like,
maybe.
Like, she decided then and there, back in the 1800s or the medieval ages, that you were going to suffer within every life.
Please tell me
she would not favor you. Oh man, it is unreal.
I don't get it. I've been wanting to get 3 different Varun weapons, legendary, and no, it's just not going to happen. Mossy found one that I want, Punklet.
What did he find?
He got the Tesla Advanced Varun Penumbra, and it has Cornered on it, which is awesome. Hitman, very awesome, one of my favorite things on a weapon, and Tesla rounds. Yeah. I want that weapon.
That's dope.
I really want that weapon. 348 physical, 361 energy. Yeah.
80,000 value. You could never sell it.
I wouldn't want to. I just use it.
It's dope, dude.
That's
awesome.
the Varun rocket launcher.
Fire rate of 12, 348 physical, and 361. That's insane. I love it.
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah, me too. I want to mod that thing up and use it and make it my own. But I've resigned the fact I'll never find it.
Right.
So I took a picture in the museum earlier, and I wasn't sure about this. I didn't get time to research it. But it talks about the Triumph at Wolf 359. And it says, a relic of the Den, a station of the accursed, which they called everyone else, above Wolf 359 was destroyed by the most glorious fleet of the Serpent's Crusade in the first of its many victories. The Den still exists.
Right.
It wasn't destroyed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't win that victory.
Old Den. There's the old Den.
Oh, the old Den. Okay.
At Wolf 359, there's a separate station that is the old Den, and it is a wreckage of a space station that's been there the entire time. You can fly through it, and then 2 planets over in the same system is the Den that we know today. So
see, that's why I'm glad we have listeners in with us today.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And that was SciTech, everybody.
Clutch, man. Yeah, that was SciTech.
So yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I was really curious about that. I put that picture in there because there's a lot of things I was really curious about, but I know that half the things in there at least are not true. But that one was, I wasn't sure about that one.
That kind of like propaganda-ish type thing.
Very much so. That's what it reminded me of, like a Nazi propaganda.
Also, there is an audio comedy drama podcast called Wolf 359, which is really good. You guys should listen to it.
Interesting.
It's funny. It's funny, and then it's serious, and unfortunately, like many audio fiction podcasts, it doesn't last, but what's there is really, really good and professionally done, and I recommend it. So I think about it every time I go to the Den. So sorry, go ahead.
I never even heard of it. That's cool.
Yeah.
I was opening a safe, one of the mini safes. Lockpicks. Ugh. Anyway, I opened it and went and got my contents. Andrea, the first thing she says is, why didn't we just break it open? Why can't we? And I was thinking about it because there's all these glass cases of holding stuff. Like, why can't I break the glass?
Right.
You know that
that's
there's that
question.
Yeah, there's that one trader ship that you have to go on during the Freestar Collective quest line. You have to go on a ship. It's docked after you complete the Red Mile. They give you his location. You go talk to him inside of his ship. He's got all these glass cases everywhere on display of all these goodies.
Oh, the collector.
Yeah, the collector. I want to grab that stuff so badly. There's guns in there. There's digipigs. There's all kinds of goodies.
I mean, I had to fight my way out. Why can't I loot that stuff?
Yeah. There's got to be a way to open it. I mean, I've got thousands of rounds of bullets. I should be able to get into it. This is some high-tech, futuristic glass that's completely impenetrable by any kind of weaponry or crash or nuclear explosion.
Right.
My one little rant. And I did know something about the Phantoms, especially when I have my very fast-shooting Magstorm, is that after they vanish, you could still hurt them for a second. Because I just emptied into the spot where they vanished, and they would reappear dead.
That's interesting. Is that supposed to be like that? Could that be unintentional?
It could be. It could be a mesh thing, like the mesh didn't clear or reset, which is very possible. But if you have a fast-shooting weapon, you can easily take them out before they reappear. just by shooting.
Well, that's interesting because when you go to the abandoned camp looking for Varric, and spoiler alert, I guess you get jumped by horrors,
Yeah,
and they're jumping and they're teleporting around the battlefield as you're fighting them. And I really did think that because like if you touch anything of the glowing blue, creepy, mysterious stuff,
you get
you end up
vanished.
like you get vanished. I thought in the chaos of that battle, I thought maybe I imagined it or I didn't actually see what happened, but I thought that when one of those things jumped to go after Andrasia, it took me with it. It was
Interesting.
weird. I don't. Yeah, I kind of like it was so in the moment. And I was like fighting three of them at the same time, so I'm just like running backwards, gunning.
I
So
think
I
it's
don't know
happened
if
to me too,
that.
fighting those.
Yeah.
I did fight one later on in the Citadel, and I did the same thing and shot where it vanished, and it did damage to it. I didn't kill it, but I did hurt
Right.
it.
Right. That's a little wild. Yeah.
The main boss did the same thing to him too. Punk. I hate that boss. Yeah, that
sounded
guy.
personal.
Yeah, the very last part of Citadel. I'm not going to talk about it much, but there's a boss. It's a boss fight. And you got to do things in the middle of this boss fight, and when you're on extreme, this boss can one-shot you with this tiny little pistol
Oh,
every time.
that's fun.
On top of having phantoms and zealots everywhere in a tight space.
Oh man.
What I did to finally beat it, because I was getting so tired of dying constantly, is that there was a little side room I could duck into. After I did each segment of the part of this final battle, I would jump in there, save,
Right.
go back out, do the next segment, jump back in there, save on a different one, and just alternating saves back and forth. I did that for an hour for this one
Did
fight.
you use any powers during the fight?
Grab dash.
Did you just grab dash? Oh, okay.
I was in the moment just going nuts with my Magstrom, and I ran out of
Right,
ammo
right.
and had to switch.
Yeah.
Have you tried making
'Cause I don't-
freeze grenades?
Oh, yes.
The
I
freeze
didn't have the
grenades.
stuff
Yeah,
to
Dr.
make
Tiki,
those.
thank you.
That's a good
Yep,
one.
that's a good idea. Because I was thinking of like the grav pull and stuff like that, where it pulls a bunch of enemies together in the center of the room or whatever.
See, if I would have thought about it in the moment, that would have been great.
Right.
All I had on my hotbar was my two normals, my Superman Dash and Sent Star stuff.
So I'm
Yeah, I still
engineering. You
forget
are.
that powers are part of the game. I still don't have powers in this playthrough. I have not gotten far enough to get any.
Yeah, they're useful. When you remember you have them, then you have
Right,
them mostly
exactly.
at rank 10.
Right.
Thanks, Dr. Tiki. I appreciate it.
No worries, dude.
And there is something very interesting about outposts that happens at the end of the main story. But that's all I'm
No.
saying. I'm not going anywhere else on that.
Okay. Okay. Is it going to make me want to build outposts finally?
Yes, most likely.
Okay.
Because we were kind of talking
Okay.
before the shows aired, or that we started recording, that
Yeah.
about the next contest we talked about doing, but haven't really talked about it. And one of the ideas that Kilo brought up, I think is a great idea, is he brought up doing a Varun ship build. And I thought, well, if you complete the main story, why not go full circle and give us a complete Varun-like scene with your outpost and your ship? Build your own little
Yeah, I like
Varun
that.
space.
I love that idea. Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be too much for people, but I think it'd be pretty cool. I might even
I
try
don't know.
it.
We got a couple. We got a couple listeners right here in the recording. What do you guys think?
Just right. Yeah, no, that's an amazing idea.
Okay.
I wasn't aware you could get Varun space parts or ship parts
You
rather.
can't.
You can't get
You
ship
cannot-
parts.
Well, not ship parts, but apparently other things.
No spoilers or anything.
No spoilers or anything. We're being real subtle about it.
Hmm.
If you look in the shipbuilder section of the Discord, I posted a ship. It was built with the parts that come in the game, mostly, including some mods, but I made it to look like what I think a Varun ship should look like.
I would even allow mods.
It's basically your vision of what you think a Varun ship should look like, and with your Varun outpost, and make it a whole little thing, and take some nice pictures, and then we'll vote on it. We haven't really decided necessarily what the prize is. We've talked about a couple things.
I thought about inviting the winner to come on the air and talk about their build and hang out with us for an episode, but that would be optional, of course. We're not going to force anyone to do that. Hang out
What
with
would
us.
be
that's incorrect. You're going to be forced.
You must, or you lose.
Kidding. No. Optional, of course.
I think that's what we're gonna do. Talk about it with Archon. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he'd be game for that too. And then maybe next episode we'll officially start it and get going.
Yeah, sounds good.
So
we'll,
with the
we'll have more next week.
Yeah, and I was completely wrong. I'll admit it that there was extra stuff, Varun based, that they did put in the game. It just happens later on.
Gotcha.
By the way, choosing the ending of the main story was very, very interesting. Not going to go into detail about that again because we'll talk about that in a future episode when people have had a chance to really go through it. And my co-hosts have got a chance to go through it.
Yeah, I'm almost
But
there.
there's a big choice. Like, that's one thing I'm really loving about Shattered Space is the multiple choices. The multiple different endings, even on all the side quests. It's crazy.
Well, I think the great thing about it is that, okay, the base game, you have your choices as well, but they seem more black and white most of the time.
One or
I'm
two
willing to
choices.
say,
Yeah,
you know,
like two choices most.
you know, you get one or two, like, hey, are you going to let Ron Hope bribe you, or are you going to try to arrest him? You know, like it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
But everything that I've come across, like I mentioned earlier, everything I've come across in Shattered Space so far, there's not necessarily a wrong answer.
Yeah, I've seen like 3, 4, and even 5 different choices that end it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of replay value. That they definitely went heavily into the story RPG elements in Shattered Space.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
They went back to the Bethesda way of saying, okay, well, here's your quest. Here's all the different options laid out before you. What do you want to do with it?
Right.
And then deal with the consequences afterward.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because even after you make your first choice in the ending, there's another big choice that has to be made that could also alter it. So I'm curious about how many actual endings there are. From what I counted, it was like at least 4, maybe 3 or 4 at least. Like the way how it can end up, and it could be a very big thing. And we were actually correct in one of our assessments prior to Shattered Space. So we'll get into that later on.
I got to finish through that. That's got me intrigued.
So one thing I want to talk about was some side quests. There's one that I found that I'm interested in doing. I have not done it. Full disclosure, I have not done it yet. But it looks very interesting. It was one of those quests that was highly recommended. And it's called the Tomb of the Fang. And it's located, Legacy of the Fang is the name of the quest. And you can find it in the Tomb of the Fang, which is southwest of Dazra City. And it's a little side mission, but it takes you into a lot of story elements in the game. And you get some pretty decent rewards. I actually get 3 different things for it. And you get, again, heavy morality choices involved.
Okay.
It gives you a little bit more insight of the religion of the Varun. So I wanted to bring that up because I'm going to give that one a shot because it looks really cool. And of course, the duel. It's the first one that is thrown in your face like, here's side quests. Check them out. But that one is cool thing about the duel is it really gives you a good perspective about some of the culture of the Varun society. Like how they officially do duels, you know? There's rights and
the legalities of it and things of that nature. I think what makes it more interesting is not just that this is a tradition within the culture, but that it's, at least as it's portrayed, as I can confirm, portrayed in the beginning of the quest line, because I have not finished it yet. I'm working on it. But the fact that it's an archaic tradition. It's not something that's widely, used. So I think that gives a little more depth to the history in the lore of the Varun, which I think is really cool.
It does. And that one actually has 4 ways you can end that quest, which is really cool too. I was tempted to save it before I made the choice. If I would have known about the choice at that time, I probably would have saved it and did all 4 just to see what happened.
Right.
But I think Archon and I made the same choice on that one. I think most people would, especially if you're going with a trying to be as good as possible. But then there's like those 2 gray area choices and the one that's clearly black.
Got you. Okay. Interesting.
No, wait.
So I think
it's 4. Yeah.
Just to add some color, I think I've done all the side quests that are available that I've been able to research and find, except for the duel and to finish House Divided. So without giving any spoilers or anything, I'll say one thing that I'm loving, even about like the Fangs and some of the other widget I think I mentioned to you, Sympathy for the Living was another side quest.
Yeah, that's one I got to check out still.
Even those, I hesitate to call any of these side quests because I don't consider them side quests, frankly. They are all part of telling the Varun story. They're weaving a tapestry of a greater story of what is the Varun culture. They don't really stand alone. They all kind of interlace and tell kind of a bigger picture. So I really love that about this expansion, DLC, this drop of content, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
that's a
very well
assessment.
Said. Yeah, absolutely agree with you.
And they even, like, not just the side quests, but they throw in a whole bunch of little things just scattered around, like the audio logs I was talking about at the top of the show that talks about how the Varun got started.
Yeah.
It's not a part of a quest, it's just laying on a desk. If you don't pick it up, you'll never know.
Yep, and I think I think it harkens back to last episode, what our heated debate where, we don't have everything that we necessarily might have wanted, but it just harkens back to what we were talking about about how this might not necessarily have everything that we wanted, but it is definitely given us, I think, everything that we were craving as far as story and lore and enriching the world. Bethesda obviously did put a lot of work into this, just not in the way that everybody is happy with, but I'm definitely loving it. And I think SciTech really covered it.
Yeah, so look around. That's my point. Do everything. Find out. And I normally don't do that too often. I'm very guilty of that. I'm a combat-oriented person. I like going and blowing stuff up, or from a very long distance.
Right.
In this,
Your
though,
long rod of justice.
I'm actually finding these things that I would never have found otherwise, and picking up these audio logs and actually paying attention to them.
You know, I think they prep you a little bit for it though too. If you go like with the House Vithal quest line where you're trying to find Varric, because I had a heck of a time at that abandoned camp trying to figure out what they wanted me to investigate. It says investigate the campsite, but you can't really see anything until you're looking around very, very closely. Yeah. And I think that's a little bit of a hint. That I think that's might be a little bit of a hint where they're telling you, hey, make sure you're kind of paying attention.
That's very valid. One thing that we talked about, and I mentioned at the top of the show, is the free ships you can get from quests. Now, online, there's a whole list of them, but they don't cover all of them, actually, which is interesting. Oh. Well, obviously, you get the Frontier. Everyone gets the Frontier. It's their first one. Shouldn't even be mentioned. Yep. It's a given.
Only one can sell.
The Kepler R or Kepler S from doing
Stroud
Eklund's quest after doing the Neon of the main story. That one's fascinating. It's actually a really decent ship. A really good base if you want something to build off of. Of course, everyone knows the Razor Leaf, the Mantis.
Razor Leaf. No matter what you do to it, it'll always be recognizable as the Razor Leaf.
Exactly. The Mantis is risen. And I think my current ship I'm using was built from the Razor Leaf. Just stripped it completely down and rebuilt it, and it's still the Razor Leaf. No, that was my first one. This one I have right now was from, I want to say, the Kepler. I got the Kepler S, sold it all, paid for half of my ship, which was awesome, and rebuilt it. But then you got the Star Eagle, another one that's well known because that's the one you get for finishing the Free Star.
Yep, I built the Phantom Serpent. I built off the Star Eagle.
In my opinion, it's probably one of the best, if not the best, of the free ships you can get from doing quests.
Yeah, it's a really good one, and of course, always upgradable. So you can always up all your systems, even. Yeah.
There is one of these I have not gotten, and that's called the Wonder Well.
What's that?
The Wonder Well is from getting kids when you have a kid stuff perk. Your parents give it to you.
Oh, your dad wins it in a game of cards.
And I have that on my huge playthrough I'm doing right now, and I've never talked to my parents since the beginning. I don't even know where they're at.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't run out.
That sounds like an issue you got to work through personally.
Right.
That's right.
So
I think maybe that's not for a podcast, and maybe for a therapist widget.
So today, I couldn't find my parents. How does that make you feel?
Well, better than saying, today I saw my parents high on Aurora at the Astral Lounge.
Yeah, it scarred me, man. Obviously, you get the Starborn Guardian. That's your new game plus ship. I know that Mossy has never experienced that gem in his 1,000 hours.
Yeah, gem with an asterisk, I think.
And then you got the UC Prison Shuttle.
But
yeah, it does. It's a great starting ship for your New Game Plus. Honestly, it is. It's better than the Frontier, in my opinion. The only bad thing is you can't upgrade it, but you don't have any credits to upgrade at the beginning anyway, so it doesn't matter.
You make a very good point. Wise widget.
When you get to New Game Plus, I think 6 is the final version of that you get. Yeah, it's a pretty sick ship. It does pretty good. I had it through like 2 or 3 different playthroughs, just that ship. Well, those are the ones I was just doing power runs and getting right to the end.
Yeah.
Then you get the UC Prison Shuttle, one of the beaters that you can get for free doing the Crimson Fleet.
Yep.
When you're escaping from the lock. But the one that's not listed on any of these is the one you get from doing the Escape DLC.
Oh, okay.
You get a ship at the end of that, and it's, from what I've been able to tell of talking to our listeners in our chat and stuff like that, it's random.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's got a base design, but then it's random. Mine look completely different than other people's in different ways, so it's interesting. And that's only if you do the good ending.
There's another one too that you didn't mention. It might be because the list predates it, but there's also a ship that you get doing the Trackers Alliance missions as well.
Do you get one?
Yeah.
It's a scuzzy little thing at the.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah. Thank you. Yep. So that was another one of the beaters. So you got 2 beaters. One that could be a beater or not, depending on your luck. Which mine was a beater, totally. And you got all the good ones that everyone knows about. So those are pretty much the only ones that I can think of that you get for free on quests. That's
without
decent
taking
list.
them by force.
You can
That's pretty good.
get 9 ships.
9 ships, yeah. And then you can always fill out your fleet by, pirating.
Oh yeah, that's something I've not done much of. I think I've stolen 4 ships or something like that. Last time we did our stats, the last time I've stolen a ship. It's not many.
I got a mod that might help the people with that, but I'll talk about that in a second.
Speaking of which, good segue.
Speaking of which, great segue. The first mod I have that I already mentioned actually a little bit earlier in my playthrough it's Ship Graffiti by Grooves Games, which adds graffiti automatically to the outside of your ship. Whatever ship you have set home ship. I don't know if it transfers. I'm not sure what happens when you switch home ships. I just know that it works because I use it and it looks really cool. A lot of great little graffiti art. I got a son who is very much into graffiti art, so I got a little bit of a special place in my heart for that. The only catch is that if you want the graffiti gone, you got to go through the process of removing the mod. There's no other way to get rid of it. It pops up automatically. Yeah, but it looks cool. So
I mean, there could be you think it'd be as easy as like going into the ship builder and then just repainting.
I wonder if that would work. I don't know. I haven't tried. I'll have to give that a shot. I'd be curious to know if that works because I was in Aquila City. I haven't been to Neon in forever, so it just kind of shows up. Okay. So yeah. So okay. So moving on. Here's the one that I was actually extremely interested when I saw this. It's called Leave No Witnesses by Ego Ballistic, which is a great name for an author of a mod called Leave No Witnesses. It's basically when you commit crimes in space, if you take everybody out, your bounty disappears. Whatever you accrue during that. So if you take out a bunch of UC ships and steal another ship, as long as everybody's dead at the end, your bounty goes away because there's nobody to report you and there's no long-range communication in space. We've talked about that.
Yeah, we've had to talk about that on the Discord recently too.
Yes. So from an immersion standpoint, I think that's worth it. And it's not a very big mod.
That's interesting. I like that one actually.
Yeah. I'm going to add that one for sure. Then we have Disguise by Asteroid Leaf. And I think this is really cool. I think it's a mechanic that a lot of games kind of fall short on. When you dress up like a member of a faction, as long as you don't break the disguise or attack anybody, people will treat you as a member of that faction. So if you have to, let's say you want to infiltrate the Ecliptic, if you wear full Ecliptic spacesuit, everybody there will think you are Ecliptic and will not attack you.
Which makes sense.
This also works with a number of other things, like if you're just with clothing. Like if you go into the UC, say you have a bounty in the UC, you go in the UC dressed in like officer's clothing or enlisted clothing or whatever, it also works that way. So it is a kind of a use at your own risk mod because it does say in the description that it is in beta and that not all the features that he mentioned have been tested yet. So if it works, it sounds like it'll work great. And then I have one honorable mention this week, just because it looks cool. It is the Rev 8 Pro Chrome by Stack GX, which basically just makes the Rev 8 body chrome. Mirrored chrome.
If you want the bling.
If you want the bling, you want to shine in the sun, baby. That's what you want. So that's it. That's all I got for mods this week.
And that's what we got for the show.
Dr. Tiki, SciTech, thanks for jumping on and joining us. And the Hatfield, who had to kind of cut out a little bit early, thank you to him as well for joining us for the recording. It was a lot of fun having you guys on.
All right, time to get to the official stuff, guys. If you wanted to advertise on this show or any other official business, please email us at starfieldраw@gmail.com. Our Discord is the place to be. I keep saying it over and over again because it's true. Discord.gg/raw podcasts. That's plural. PODCASTS. Podcasts, because we do more than one. Remember? Raw and Nerdy. Check it out.
Yeah, that's right.
Our Facebook is Raw Podcasts. Our Instagram
is Raw Podcast 1.
It came as such a tradition that I just cannot say it myself. It's just weird. You follow us on Twitter as well, or X, however you want to call it, at Starfield Raw. You can follow us individually. I am at The Widget, THEWIGIT, on everything. You can even search Google and find my books using that name.
Nice. That was a really smooth plug. I like that. That was perfect. You can find me at Kilo Tango 1122 everywhere.
Rook could not do his segment today, so we apologize for that, but we'll get him back next week. And Archon is off in the ether doing his thing. But have a fantastic week out in space, everybody.
Not only is the universe stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. Arthur Stanley Eddington.